Hello everyone, my name is Rohit Baput. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today it's my pleasure to talk about a book written by my friend Manoj Shinde. The title of the book is Touch of My Shadow. It's a fantastically written book, and few words that popped up in my head when I was done reading the book were like the struggle, the barriers, the urge of a human being to live the life as they please, the freedom and the destiny. Now, the story revolves around a central character called Wali, or Wala as his friends call him. Now, biologically, he is a male, he is a man, but a Jogti. Now, for those who do not know about the tradition of Jogti, it's a very known tradition in Maharashtra, some parts of Karnataka, and some part of Andhra Pradesh or Telangana, where the male devotees of goddess Renuka take up the form of women. They live like women and they live their lives like women devotees, and they have certain obligations towards the society, towards the temple, towards the village, and the Joktis are supposed to have the miraculous powers to provide blessings uh, on behalf of goddess. And they are called Ma, they are called mother by the people who believe in them. Now, this is as much I want to give out because the book itself actually really talks about that tradition and gives a lot of minute details, a lot of nuances that go with it. Now, even though it sounds really straightforward as a tradition, being a male living as a woman is not an easy task. Now, here is the thing: the Wali did not become Jokti by his choice. It was just a destiny that he became a Jokti. Now, he was undertook by another Jokti whose name was Yashoda again. Now, this is where the story begins, but it takes you on a journey, on a ride of story of Wali as to how he became Jokti, the life of Joktas, the the social structure in the villages, in the rural part of India. Now, for those who have very little exposure to that part of the society, that part of the world, it's an eye opener, honestly. I mean, we have heard some stories about it, but the way societies run is very different in the rural India than how it runs in the urban parts of India. It's really a uh, intriguing way of living. Now there are good sides, there are bad sides, as I say. Wali, unfortunately, is born in a family that is struggling with extreme poverty. Now, some of the scenes. Now, here is something I want to talk about this book. Even being a writer myself, some of the scenes that are written in this book, when Wali was a young boy, when Wali was harassed by the men in the in that village, some of the scenes are so graphic and so uh, true to the human nature itself that the scene itself you can visualize in front of your eyes. It gave me goosebumps, literally, because that's how human beings react. Usually people try to hold back the emotions, they try to make it subtle, they try to make it not so uncomfortable. But I'm happy that Manoj has written the story in such a way that it will make readers a little bit uncomfortable, because it's an uncomfortable truth that never comes out. Wali is actually struggling with his own realities. He has gone through poverty, he's living through poverty. He has dreams. Now here is a fun stuff. Anyone who is going to read this book is going to wonder about why there are Bollywood movie references. Now for those who are born in early 90s will really understand what it means to idealize a hero in a movie. Now these days in movies there is really a very thin line between a hero and a villain, because a hero is slightly a villain can slightly be a hero, something like that. But in the old times, in 90s or late 80s or so, there was a clear distinction between hero and a villain. You have a villain who is harassing a hero, and you have a hero who is trying to fight back his situation. Now, once you understand this, you'll understand the Bollywood references in this movie. It was very interesting. Honestly, I was not expecting, when I started reading the book, I was not expecting that, but that came as a surprise. And slowly, I started understanding how it plays into the psyche of Wadi. And like I said, people who are born in early 90s can really relate to it, because we are brought up watching the movies. Now the current generation is brought up watching the web series on the OTTs, but we are brought up watching the movies, so we understand the importance of having a hero image in your life, visualizing, idolizing some hero. Now Wali is trying to get out of that situation. Now here is how Manoj has created a fantastic story. I tell you, very technically. For then now, this is for those who study story writing. This is for those who like story writing and who want to, write stories. A story does not happen without a conflict. Now, Wali is in a situation that he does not like at all. Okay, he's trying to get away from it, but there are different barriers around his life. Like I said, he's a Jogti, right? So there is a life of a Jogti. There are realities of a Jogti. There are social realities. There are biological realities. Even though people call him mama or mother, Wali knows from inside he's a man, and he wants to live like a man, but he cannot. Now here is where the struggle comes in. Now once you have this conflict, right, that's where the story begins to unravel itself. Till then, it's more like a narrative. It's more like a setup of the story. But the story begins the moment Wali tries to get out of that situation. Now there is another character called Taraka, which is again a female character whom Wali wants to live with. She is also going through a lot of financial trouble. She has family issues that she has gone through, and the financial issues she is going through. Now, the barriers, like I said, it's not only about the social barriers. Let me get this straight. It's also about the financial barriers, it's also about the biological barriers, it's also about the social barriers of the status, you know. Because one is about social barriers like being a Jogti. Oh, once you become a Jogti, you cannot become a normal man. Now that's just one barrier. And there is a financial barrier, there is a money matter. Nothing happens without money, right? Now, even if you want to get away from the situation, you need money. Now, the story also talks about how Wali generates money, how Wali collects money, and how he's trying to get away from it. And while doing that, he's being pragmatic, he's being practical. Even though he is an emotional person, he's not holding it back when it comes to it. Yashoda, who is like a ma to Wali, who brought up Wali as a Jogti, right? Even though Yashoda may or may not like the path Wali is trying to follow, Wali still follows his mind, because he's trying to get away from that situation. And now, this is what is interesting in this book. I will not tell how he gets away from it, but this is something that you have to read to understand what I'm talking about. The other one is biological barrier. Now, imagine that you dress up like a woman every day, knowing perfectly well that you are 100% man, and you want to live like a man. But there are some biological barriers that you have to hold on to be a Jogti. And it's difficult, I tell you, because even though it's a psychological barrier, that people think about you, what people think about you as a male who is pretending to be a woman, then there is biological barrier where you have to control yourself. Now let me get this very straight. A man, when he looks at a a beautiful woman, he gets aroused. That's biology. That's basic biology. And this is where, at the minutest point, the struggle begins for Wali. Because he knows he is not a woman. He wants to get away from it. From these small, minute realities, his struggle begins, and it grows to a point where he's trying to just get away from it. Just nothing to do with this life, start a fresh life. Now, this is how the story progresses. The situation, the struggle to get away from it. Now, the struggle itself in between, I tell you, it's not an easy way out. The people in the village, okay, will not let you change the status quo. They will not let you change the status quo. Even if Wali wants to go to a gym meant for the men, right? Even though he's a biological man, he will not be able to perform or do the workout as a man, because he will be teased, he will be abused. Now there is a scene where the goons or the thugs in the village, try to abuse Wali. Now that scene is so graphic, and it touched me in such a way that this is how the human being reacts. And like I said, I'm glad Manoj did not hold it back. He just went through it all the way. The scene itself, you know you can visualize it in front of your eyes. I was so happy to read that. Now, once we are done with the social barriers, the biological barriers, now here is the psychological barrier. Even though you think you are ready to break the shackles or break the barriers that are raised for you, you need to be prepared psychologically. And especially if somebody is with you or you want to live with someone, it becomes your duty to get that person out of that situation. For example, in this case, the Wali who is trying to live with Taraka as his life partner for the future, right? Taraka has doubts. She has her own barriers to go through. Wali actually helps her to get out of it. Now here is a very different kind of storyline that we rarely hear in the stories, where a person who is already going through his own troubles, is trying to help someone to get out of their situation also. Now this is where the struggle comes in. The poverty, the struggle, and the barriers. The psychological barriers are so immense. Now there is a scene, okay, I'll not reveal too much, you read it. There is a scene where sitting on your knees, you know, is like an essential manner or etiquette. When some big person, like a head of the village or party, some big person comes, then you are supposed to sit down on your knees as if you are like a small person. Now, this is a psychological barrier. Has someone forced anyone to sit like that? No. You have to understand how psychology works. Has anyone, forced to do something like that? No. But the psychology or the psyche of the person is such that they will do it. Now, this is the first and the biggest psychological barrier the person has to fight with to come out of the situation, where their primary memory is to do some things which are normal for them, but which are essentially the barriers they have to break. Now, the moment Wali breaks that situation, where he, you know, forces the big person to sit on his knees in front of him, that's the first victory. Now, like I said, there is a conflict and there is a struggle, and sometimes you have victory. Now, this is where Wali, first tests the victory or the freedom, like, okay, I can do it. I can get away from this situation. Now they get away from this situation. How, for the how part, you will have to read the book. I will not reveal anything, but it's a very fantastic journey, and it's not a usual love story as such. It's kind of a love story, but it's not a usual Bollywoodish love story. It's a real people's love story. So it has its own ups and downs. Then it has we have two different characters. One is Wali, who is extremely eager to get away from it. One is Tara, who is doubtful about it. She has questions. She has lots of psychological barriers to come out of it. Then we have the colleagues of Wali who are also there. So there are a lot of things that go around in that small little love story that they have between them. Now, at some point of time, Wali and Tara get away from the village. How? Like I said, you'll have to read the story. I will not tell it. And here is another round of struggle begins. For them, for Wali, he initially thought that once you get away from the village, go to the cities or go to the bigger towns and you start getting the work. But that's not how it works. It is not easy to find job in big cities. Pimpri Chinchwad, whichever city you want to go, it is not easy to find a job, and especially if you have lived almost all of your life as a woman, you have attire, you have that vibe around you that feels more like a woman, and that's where another round of struggle begins for Wali. Like I said, the social barriers are not only about traditions. These are not only about that. This is another social barrier where you have a traditional way of life trying to cope up with the urban way of life. Now there are two different things, right? Now the urban way of life, for it, it's very difficult to accept a person who has come from this background, and this is where another round of struggle begins. Now they go through it. They try to make it you know work for them some way or the other. They find job, they find odd jobs, they do it. Now that description is also very fantastic, huh? I'll tell you another good point of Manoj's writing is that he has written it in a way that Indian readers can understand. It is not written in such a manner that it's written for anyone around. No, it is written for Indians and people who have this context of Indian way of living. Right? They will really understand the the situations, the places, then the setup, the people. They will really understand that. And the way it is written, it's not what I say a Shakespearean kind of English, and that's what I like about it. It is something that you and me, anyone can really understand. It's really commendable on that level. Now, after coming to city, they thought their life will be fine. They will be able to live their own life, but that's not the way life works. That's not how the destiny works. Here also they have to go through destiny, and by the end of it, it's such a fantastic scene. The last scene is so good. uh, yeah, before that they go through a tragedy. I mean, Wali tries to do something good for himself and his employer, but it doesn't work out that way. Actually, it goes south pretty fast. It just becomes worse. But time goes on, time moves on. They keep on struggling, they keep on struggling, and the last scene is is so matter of fact. I mean, it gave me a feel of, it almost as if I'm seeing them on the main road, on some side of the road near Pune or Pimpri Chinchwad. I could see them, those people. It is so uh, human in that sense. That also portrays the struggle has not ended. I mean, the story does not end there. That's the fun part. The story does not end there. It just ends one chapter. Now, what happens after that is something we'll have to see if there is another part of the story. But this is where the story ends. But the struggle does not end. The struggle does not end. But the good thing is now they are able to break the social barrier. They are able to break the biological barrier. They are able to break the psychological barrier that are around them, because now they are seasoned to go through struggle. Now they understand how the world works and they are fine with it. I mean, Tara is into a situation, okay, where she is not able to work freely bodily. She is pregnant, and Wali is working in a garage, or he's having his own garage now, and still, even if they are trying to settle down in their life, there is a problem that follows them. I mean, wherever is Wali, there is problem. You have to understand while reading the book. But the struggle goes on there, and they are fine with it. They have learned how to live with their struggles. They have learned how to live with their destiny and their fate. This is such a fantastic story. I was actually happy to read this story. It's very rare these days where the writer is actually a storyteller. They're trying to tell you a story instead of giving you gyan on each and everything. They're actually trying to tell you a story. I was happy to read, and I would recommend everyone actually to read this book, Touch of My Shadow, written by Manoj Shinde. It's a fantastically written book, and I'm happy that I read this book, and I hope and wish everyone buys and read this book, and not because it's written by my friend, but it's because it's a fantastic story. I was honestly, I was a little bit skeptic when when I started reading the book, but as the story progressed, the way the visualizations are given, the way the narrations are given, they're, like I said, they are so natural, and Manoj has not held it back. So you'll enjoy reading the book. You'll get the hint of how the other side of life is, how what's the meaning of struggle is. So I hope you find this book interesting, and please let me know once you read the book. Please let me know if this review was helpful, and if you have any thoughts, any different points of view. I'll be happy to know those. And if you like this book review, please share with your friends so that they can also get to read the stories written by the new upcoming writers. It's rare, like I said, to read a good story being told. Thank you very much.